I'm William Stewart, co-founder of Teleos. Welcome back to our verse-by-verse study on the book of Ephesians. We're in an exciting section now in chapter 4, talking about the foundational structure of the church, all based on the first three chapters of Ephesians, our salvation, and the physical structure of the church in a spiritual sense, and its knowledge. So the structure we're talking about now is that of how we live inside that church, our Christian walk. And we started off in the first 6 verses in chapter 4 talking about unity. So Paul takes a bit of a backward direction here to what underlies our unity. Again, he speaks to our salvation as it relates to our Christian life. He says in verse 7, but unto everyone of us is given the grace according to the measure of the gift of Christ. Wherefore he saith, when he ascendeth up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Verse 8 starts with wherefore he saith. So we're covering 2 verses today. So what is verse 7 doing? Well, he starts with the word de, so he's adding additional information. The gift that's given is the word doron, which is a general Greek word for gift. Remember, Greek is the original language of the New Testament, but it's applied or used in the epistles, the apostolic epistles, almost completely related to salvation. So, and grace usually also is related to salvation as well. I would say 90% of the time. An unmerited gift or favor, a merited favor is what that means, the Greek word charis. So we're given this gift and this grace according to the measure of the gift of Christ. Otherwise, it's measured out enough grace to accomplish the gift of salvation as needed to get it done. We don't know if that's a different amount of grace for every person. It may be, but the amount of grace to get them to believe, each of us to believe, probably more grace was needed for some than others. But it all may be the same. It may be X amount of grace, any amount that God would determine was sufficient for all of us. But it was given by God, and it is freely given. So in verse 8, he goes, therefore, wherefore, it's the word dio in Greek, therefore, he saith, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts to men. This seems like a confusing verse, but it's very exciting. Now, here's a hint. When one sees in Scripture unusual wording that you would not expect in the epistles, think an Old Testament quote. And this is what this is. It's from Psalm 68:18. This is a psalm of David. It's thought to be when he took over Jerusalem and made it the capital of Israel. So when David became king, the Israelites had not yet taken Jerusalem. So he ascended up on high. If you've ever been to Jerusalem, you know it's well elevated and makes a good place, a defensive place, and a fortress. Surrounded on several sides by valleys. It's well above the Dead Sea at 3,500 feet. And so it was easily defensible and was up high. So he ascended to take. And of course, when he took Jerusalem, David probably took captives. But I think what it means here, as is typical of the Old Testament sense, captives are under sin. So he took those that are under sin and ascended with them. So in a sense. So what this turns out to be is really the only prophecy in the Old Testament for which I'm aware that talks about the ascension of Christ in a direct manner. I think it's also alluded to in Deuteronomy 30, verses 11 to 15, and requoted in Romans 10. But it talks about the ascension of Christ with us. Otherwise, it's that ascension and sitting down and completing his work with us as relieving the captives, that allowed him then to, taking them captive and bringing them with him, that allowed them also to sit with Christ at his right hand, as it says in Romans 6, so that the completion of the salvation work. The gifts to men, also again back to the word or the sense of salvation as well. So that's we're gonna have to stop there in the middle of the of that thought on the Old Testament quote, but we'll continue it next time. So what have we said today? We've gone from unity in the church to even more foundational level, talking about our salvation, in which that unity is placed. God gave that to us by his grace. He's highlighting this by a wonderful passage talking about the ascension of Christ, figuratively when Jerusalem was taken uh, by King David in the Old Testament. Jerusalem is important because it's the final resting place of God. So in a sense, types heaven, because God makes that his capital on earth. And it typed the kingdom in the heaven to the Israelites as well. And David finally took it, and he led his people up, and as he did also when he ascended. All right, good stuff. Thanks for joining me. We'll continue discussing this Old Testament quote or a prophecy next time. Please join me then.